We are counting down the 10 so-called upgrades that could turn your boat from compliant to illegal overnight. From hidden lighting violations and forbidden hardware swaps to electrical shortcuts and plumbing oversights that seem harmless, each entry exposes where DIY ambition collides with ironclad safety codes. Some of these are sold as marine grade, yet one installation error could invalidate your insurance, or worse, make you a danger in crowded channels. Which common mistake is putting you at risk without you even realizing it? Let us start our countdown with number 10. Solar panels, radar arches, and bimini tops seem like smart upgrades until night falls and your anchor light disappears from view. COLREGS. Rule 30 requires an all-round white light, visible for 360 degrees when a vessel is anchored. Block that light, even partially, and you are no longer visible from every angle. The most common mistake is mounting a solar panel or adding a canvas top that casts a shadow over the stern, leaving a blind spot for approaching boats. The fix is simple. Walk to the farthest point aft, look back, and check if your anchor light is still visible. If you see glare, shadow, or nothing at all, that is a violation. Certified pole-mounted lights, raised above all obstructions, are designed to meet this rule. It is rarely sighted, but a blocked anchor light can make you invisible to a barge or a patrol boat in the dark. Do not risk it. Run the stern view test tonight. A $15 brass gate valve from the hardware store might look sturdy, but salt water tells a different story. Brass is mostly copper and zinc. In a marine environment, the zinc leaches out through dezincification, leaving behind a pink brittle shell that crumbles under pressure. A BYCH 27 spells it out. Only bronze or marylon seacocks are approved for through hulls below the waterline. Brass gate valves designed for garden hoses have no place in a hull. The warning sign is unmistakable: pink metal flaking and a handle that turns with a crunch. When one of these fails, flooding is immediate. In 2022, a Gulf Coast salvage team pulled a boat off the bottom after its brass valve snapped, costing the owner over $15,000 in recovery and repairs. The difference between a certified seacock and a cheap gate valve is more than price. It is the line between safety and a sinking hull. Propane is unforgiving. It is heavier than air, so any leak will flow downhill and pool in the lowest point it can find. On a boat, that means the cockpit, or worse, the bilge. A do-it-yourself propane locker that drains into the cockpit or that does not have a dedicated overboard vent is a silent hazard waiting to ignite. ABYCA1 spells it out. Lockers must be vapor-tight to the cabin and drain directly outside the hull through a dedicated hose with no kinks or loops. Retailers can sell you any box labeled marine, but the moment you install it without that overboard drain, you are breaking the code and risking your insurance. Each year, fuel-related fires and explosions account for hundreds of boating accidents, many traced to improper gas storage. The fix is non-negotiable. Install a dedicated, gasketed locker with a drain that vents straight overboard. Anything less, and you are sitting on a bomb. A Y-valve with a movable handle within 3 nautical miles is an instant red flag during a Coast Guard boarding. Title 33 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 159, requires every discharge valve to be physically secured in the closed position when inside United States waters. It does not matter if you have never pumped a drop overboard. If the handle moves, that is a violation. Officers check this on every sanitation inspection. Fines start at $1,500. The logic is simple. An unsecured Y-valve means untreated waste can be dumped at any time, turning your holding tank into a liability. The fix takes less than a minute. Use a zip tie, a padlock, or remove the handle entirely. If an officer cannot move the valve, you are compliant. If they can, you are cited on the spot. Do not let a $20 part cost you thousands. Secure your Y-valve before you leave the dock. Swapping out a lead-acid battery for a lithium iron phosphate battery, Life PO4, seems like progress. Less weight, more cycles, faster charging. But most boat owners just drop in the new battery and call it done, trusting the built-in battery management system, BMS, to handle everything. That shortcut can turn a $900 upgrade into a $9,000 electronics meltdown and leave you uninsurable by next season. Here is the problem. Lithium batteries behave differently under load. If the battery management system senses a problem, overheat, short, or low voltage, it disconnects instantly, often while the alternator is running at full tilt. With nowhere for the current to go, the alternator's voltage spikes, sometimes above 100 volts. Sensitive electronics like chart plotters, autopilots, and radios can fry in milliseconds. This is called a load dump event, and it is the silent killer of modern navigation systems. Insurance companies have caught on. Starting in 2025, underwriters are flagging unprotected lithium installs as uninsurable unless there is documented alternator surge protection. They are not waiting for a fire or a claim denial, they are dropping policies at the audit stage. The ABYCE 11 standard now requires an external voltage protection module, about $200, to absorb those spikes and shield your gear. UL 2580 compliant batteries with integrated surge protection are becoming the new baseline, but most drop-in kits from online sellers do not meet these specs. Retailers are happy to sell you a lithium battery labeled marine grade, but unless your system includes alternator field disconnects or surge suppressors, you are not compliant and you are gambling with every hour underway. The only way to upgrade safely is to follow the American Boat and Yacht Council lithium guidance to the letter. That means certified protection hardware, documented installation, and a battery management system that talks to your alternator. Anything less, and you are one voltage spike away from a dead boat and a cancelled insurance policy. Household Romex wire seems harmless, just another roll of orange cable from the hardware store. But inside a boat, Romex is a disaster waiting to happen. The American Boat and Yacht Council Standard E11 requires stranded, tinned copper wire in marine circuits. The reason is simple physics. Solid core Romex was designed for houses nailed to the ground and cannot handle constant vibration. Every wave, every engine start, flexes the wire at the terminal blocks. Over time, the copperwork hardens and snaps, usually right at the clamp. When that break happens, the exposed end can arc and start a fire behind your panel. Insurance companies know this drill. Denial letters cite non-compliant solid core wiring as grounds to void claims after electrical fires. Inspectors have pulled melted Romex from scorched hulls, tracing the origin straight to a snapped conductor. Stranded tinned marine wire resists fatigue. It bends with the boat and keeps current flowing safely. Swapping Romex for proper marine wire is not just a code requirement, it is the difference between a minor repair and a total loss. If your alternating current outlets are fed by household wire, you are one rough crossing away from a fire and a cancelled policy. A $50 alternator from the auto parts store might look like a bargain, but behind that price tag is a risk that could turn your boat into a total loss. Gasoline engines on boats are required by federal law, specifically 33 CFR 183.410, to use ignition-protected electrical components. The reason is simple. Gasoline vapors are heavier than air and collect in the bilge, creating a hidden pocket of explosive gas. Automotive alternators and starters are built for cars, where airflow and open hoods prevent vapor buildup. Their open frame designs allow sparks to escape, tiny arcs that are harmless under a car's hood, but deadly in a closed engine compartment at sea. Marine-grade alternators and starters carry the SAE J1171 stamp. This certification means they have passed rigorous testing. The unit is flooded with flammable gas, then operated under full load. Not a single spark can escape. The difference is not just a label, it is the presence of spark arrestor screens, sealed brushes, and heavy insulation, all designed to contain ignition sources. Inspectors know exactly where to look. If there is no SAE J1171 stamp visible, that is a violation and a fine. Insurance adjusters follow suit. Post-fire investigations often trace the origin to a non-marine alternator or starter. A surveyor said, "I have seen 3 fires in 5 years, all started by automotive alternators swapped in to save a buck." Retailers can sell you anything they want. The law only cares about what is installed on your boat. A $250 difference in parts can mean the difference between a safe trip and a catastrophic fire. Before you turn the key, check for the SAEJ 1171 plate. If it is not there, you are gambling with your boat, your insurance, and your life. A flood of cheap LED light bars has hit the boating world, promising daylight visibility for a fraction of the cost. Mounted on T-top and hardtops, these off-road bars can throw more than 10,000 lumens forward, enough to turn a dark channel into a stadium. But the moment that light bar switches on while underway, you are in violation of COLREGS Rule 22. The rule is clear: navigation lights must not be obscured or overpowered by any other source. Dazzling glare is not just a nuisance, it destroys the night vision of every captain within sight. Human eyes need up to 30 minutes to fully adjust to darkness. A single blast from a light bar can wipe out that adaptation in seconds, leaving other boaters blind to your position, markers, and hazards. Coast Guard patrols have started citing vessels for improper use, with fines that can reach $1,000 or more. Complaint calls spike every summer in busy harbors, as frustrated skippers report being blinded by rogue spotlights. These bars may be legal on the highway, but on the water, they turn your boat into a hazard. The only time they are permitted is when anchored, adrift, or searching for a man overboard, never underway. Leave the light bar off, or risk turning a shortcut into a citation. Blue LED strips under the gunnels and red underwater lights pulsing at the transom are everywhere. Retailers sell them as marine grade without ever mentioning the law. But the moment you switch them on while underway, you are breaking COLREGS Rule 20. The rule is blunt. No other lights may be shown that could be mistaken for navigation signals. Blue is reserved for law enforcement. Red and green glows that bleed across the deck or hull can mask your actual navigation lights, turning your vessel into a confusing blur from a distance. In 2023, a commercial ship in the port of Houston altered course at the last second after mistaking a cluster of boats with party lights for navigation aids. There was no collision that night, but the near miss made the enforcement reports. Coast Guard officers are trained to spot unauthorized colors, and citations for improper lighting can run $1,000 or more. The retailer escapes blame. The liability lands on you the moment those lights are installed and used on the water. Signal recognition is not just a technicality, it is the difference between being seen as a vessel or being seen as a hazard. If your deck glows blue or red while you are underway, you are not just breaking the rules. You are risking a fine, your insurance, and the safety of everyone around you. A $9 LED bulb promises brighter, longer-lasting navigation lights. Just swap it into your old Aqua Signal or Perco housing, and you are told you are good to go. The listing says marine grade. The packaging claims it meets US Coast Guard standards. But the moment you screw that corn-style LED bulb into a certified fixture, your boat's navigation lights can become illegal. Here is why. International law, COLREGS, requires precise beam sectors. COLREGS. Rule 21 and Annex 1 demand that your navigation lights project exact angles. Your red and green side lights must each cover 112.5 degrees, with sharp, predictable cutoffs, no more and no less. The original fixture was engineered around a single vertical filament. That filament acts like a point source, focusing light into a tight, controlled sector. The lens and reflector are tuned to that shape so that from a distance, a ship's pilot can instantly read your bearing, direction, and status. A corn-style LED bulb with a cluster of diodes arranged around a plastic cylinder throws light in many directions. Instead of a single focused beam, you get a messy scatter, hot spots, dim patches, and worst of all, sector spill. The sharp edge that is supposed to tell another vessel, "This is my port side, not my stern," is gone. Instead, you look like a glowing blob. On a dark night, from the bridge of a container ship, your boat becomes a confusing smear of color and light. Pilots describe these retrofitted boats as ambiguous bearings, with no way to tell if you are coming, going, or anchored. The science is in the lab results. Certified marine lights tested to American Boat and Yacht Council Standard C5, or accepted under ISO 19009, are measured on a goniophotometer. That machine rotates the fixture in tiny increments and records light intensity every single degree. The report produces a polar plot, a clean uniform arc for a certified fixture with a hard drop to near zero outside the legal sector. Swap in a retrofit LED bulb and the plot becomes a jagged mess. Intensity spikes appear, sector boundaries fade, and spillover leaks into forbidden angles. Recent tests show most aftermarket LEDs fail to deliver even half the required minimum intensity at the edges. Some spilled as much as 30 degrees beyond the legal cutoff, creating a false sector that can trick another captain into thinking you are a different type of vessel entirely. These regulations are not arbitrary. They exist to prevent collisions. If your sidelight bleeds past its sector, a barge pilot might see your green and red at the same time and interpret you as a vessel dead ahead, not crossing. That misunderstanding can be fatal. The US Coast Guard is not interested in where you bought the bulb. If your light does not pass a sector test, that is a violation. Fines start at $1,000, and insurance adjusters will use non-compliance to deny claims after a collision. Retailers get away with selling these parts because the law applies when the part is installed on a vessel. Online shops can list marine-labeled bulbs with no certification, no testing, and no guarantee. The liability shifts to you the moment you wire it in. The only legal way to upgrade to LED navigation lights is to replace the entire fixture with one certified to American Boat and Yacht Council Standard C5 or an equivalent US Coast Guard accepted standard. Look for the approval number etched or stamped on the housing. If you see 111.075 or a direct ABYC or ISO reference, that is a good sign. If it is not there, you are gambling with your wallet, your insurance policy, and your life. The regret hits hardest when you see the polar plot side by side. The certified fixture's clean arc versus the retrofit's scattered mess. The difference is not just visible in the lab, it is the difference between being recognized as a vessel and being mistaken for a hazard. Boat owners swap bulbs thinking it is smart until a container ship sees a glow, not a vessel. If you upgraded your navigation lights with a $9 bulb and called it good, you did not make your boat safer. You may have made it invisible where it matters most. Unscrew the retrofit, replace the entire fixture, and demand proof of certification. Anything less is an invitation to a citation, a denied claim, or a tragedy on the water. Across all 10 upgrades, one pattern stands out. The gap between what is sold as marine grade and what is truly compliant leaves boat owners exposed. The real risk is not the part, it is trusting the label over the law. On the water, ignorance is expensive. In boating, the smallest shortcut can cost everything. Always verify before you modify. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay legal.